and welcome to the podcast. Today we are talking about a question that concerns a lot of people or dog owners as soon as they are thinking about breeding their bitch. So, is my dog actually fit for breeding? This question is far more complex as it might be on the first glance. So, it isn't all about the bitch getting pregnant. There are way more factors to it. And to provide clarity, we will go through the key points together. And therefore, I'm sitting here, I'm Francesca Zimmerman, a veterinarian and also trained in acupuncture. And I have with me Dr. Mushtaq Memon, a former professor of reproductive medicine. So thank you so much for being here.
You're very welcome, Dr. Zimmerman. It's always a pleasure to be with you, and I'm so glad that we are talking about this very important topic today.
Yeah, so let's just jump right in. When dog owners come to you, Dr. Memon, if they are asking you, is my bitch fit for breeding? What is the first thing that comes to your mind, and what are you looking for?
Well, overall body condition in the background of the bitch, which I think owner gives us a lot of information. So we take that in consideration. Then we look at the age of the bitch and look at the reproductive organs, then musculoskeletal system, behavior or temperament of the bitch, and the reproductive history, body conformation. So quite a few things go in that, whole complex of trying to declare if the bitch is fit for breeding or not.
Yeah, well, that's quite a lot to consider, actually. And I'm always surprised that dog owners are surprised that when you're not just looking at reproductive tracts in the breeding bitches, that they are surprised and very much astonished when you're checking for example, the heart rate and the joint, how the joints are working and stuff like that.
Yeah, because all these things are well connected. Problem with one thing can cause quite a bit of limitations or hesitation for the bitch to stand for breeding. So we have to make sure that heart is good, the lungs are good, her eyes are okay, she's able to walk, okay. All those different things have to be considered carefully, because sometimes, as you know, people may think that my bitch is beautiful, which I don't have any argument with. So it's really, we have to think about the pregnancy is a very demanding process and quite a bit burden on the female. So we want to make sure we give her every chance so that we know that she is in good condition, so we can go ahead and then breed her.
Do also diseases play a role in that process? And are there any diseases that are relevant not only for the pregnancy of the breeding bitch, but also for other dogs involved, like the male dog and the puppies?
Yes, there are quite a few diseases. In fact, there are certain diseases which could be transmitted just being around the other animals, which means that if this bitch has a kennel cough, for instance, she can probably easily give it to the male. On top of that, leptospirosis, distemper, parvovirus, adenovirus. These are certain diseases that we don't really check for it during breeding, but at least we can get the history of it and try to do the best we can to try to make sure that bitch doesn't carry that stuff. But there are some other diseases which are very reproductive consequences. And one of the big ones is Brucella canis. Now, Brucella canis is one of those diseases that could be transmitted to other dogs. And it's not only the females, but male can have that problem too. So we always make sure to do the Brucella canis test, making sure the male as well as female, they are free from Brucella canis. And other than that, I think looking at the heart problems, just to pick up something very obvious, heart murmurs and things like that. After that, some eye exam. I like to make sure the bitch has a normal looking eye, does not have any entropion, extropion, things like that, which could be, hereditary transmitted sometimes, epilepsy and things like that. We just like to see, again, the bitch is in good condition.
I know that a lot of veterinarians are taking radiographs of joints like elbows and hips. Is that important in this conclusion?
Yes, very important, in fact. Here in the United States, we emphasize that breeding bitch ought to be registered. So let us say a person wants to register their German Shepherd bitch through AKC. So AKC wants to know the parents of that animal and so many other information, plus x-rays of the hip, because the hip dysplasia is one of those problems which are hereditary, we know very well. So when a bitch comes to me, I like to look at those registration papers along with radiographs, those x-rays, and look at the results, what has been said. But we don't want to put out animals out there which are not fit for breeding. So yes, hip dysplasia, elbows fitness, everything else has to be very normal.
And is it true that also the breed does play a role in hip dysplasia, for example?
Definitely. Certain breeds, without calling the names, certain breeds are more prone to hip dysplasia than others.
There are not only diseases that are inherited, also temperament?
Yes, it
Right.
can be. It can be. Temperament is something which is, many people feel very strongly this heritable. So I would like to know, what is her temperament? Does she get very aggressive with other animals? Especially the younger animals. I would like to have animal relatively well contained, if you will. That if owner or the guardian of the animal is given a command that animal listens, and they have the temperament to go along with it rather than trying to fight with everybody. So I think good temperament, calm animal is what I call is better candidate for breeding.
And when we talk about age, does it make sense to have the first litter after the first heat cycle, or what is your point of view?
Yes, age is very important. So first cycle breeding is discouraged. As you know, many bitches, depends on the breed, but on average, I would say the first heat is somewhere from maybe even as early as 5, 6 months of age, all the way to year and a half age. So that animal may be hormonally, endocrinologically be active, but really physically and emotionally, that animal is not mature yet, to get pregnant and carry on, to the pregnancy. So I think that we shouldn't jump in and try to breed a 6-month-old or 8-month-old bitch, because that's not really wise.
Mm-hmm. What would you consider a good age to breed then?
It depends on the breed.
Mm-hmm.
A smaller breed tends to have earlier, the first heat cycle, and larger breeds, it takes a little longer time. So I think I would just try to, listen to your veterinarian and try to come up with, both of you as the partners, good time to breed that animal.
Mm-hmm. Does make sense. And when you're talking about the reproductive history, what are you looking at there?
So for our typical examination, I look at the vulvar area of the animal, trying to make sure it's a normal conformation. And what does it mean? Well, conformation means that if, let us say, you take a very obese animal, the vulvar floor would be very different. It would be sunken in. Or sometimes in obese bitches, they are kind of overlapped quite a bit. So it's very difficult for a male animal to penetrate. So we want to make sure that those are very normal. If the animal has any prior complications of reproductive tract, for example, pyometra, or has some discharge, then I would prefer to have the ultrasound of the reproductive tract done, which is transabdominal, which is very commonly done in our veterinary practices. The veterinarian can look at it and assess that reproductive tract is okay. There's nothing obviously abnormal.
And when we go back to the body conformation and musculoskeletal system, what are you assessing there?
So I think that score is important, that we look at a body condition score, because we don't want to have these extremes, of too fat or too thin animals. But again, this animal has to carry on that pregnancy. We want to make sure it's a good body condition, as well as, if I have any suspicion of any lameness or anything, I want to again double check and making sure this animal doesn't have any obvious, painful areas in her, front or legs, because see, legs are very, very important, because when in natural breeding, this male animal has to, get on top of the female and try to breed. So this animal has to run sound footing.
So then the most important question of all, did you ever have a situation where you strongly or you had to advise against breeding the breeding bitch?
Quite a few times.
Really?
On different, the reasons. Some clients come in and they say, okay, my bitch is okay. She may have a good clear hip dysplasia record. When I go through there, I may find this very severe entropy on, eyelashes are almost going inside the eyes. And I try to share that information with the client, and I show them, I say, you see, this is a potential to be hereditary, and you don't want to do that. So, people, sometimes the owners don't like that. They don't want to hear. It's just like, having a human child, and you tell a mother that your child is ugly, people don't like that. There are a few other things too that sometimes comes to my mind, which we did not discuss much, is the placement of the nipples of the mammary gland, that we want to make sure they're properly spaced. I try to feel everything, any bumps, any lumps, mammary gland, some problems, inflammations. So I try to rule out all those different things.
Well, we heard a lot of different informations, so I quickly summarize. To be breeding sound doesn't just only mean getting the bitch pregnant. Instead, you also should look at the dog, if it's healthy, if it's physically robust, if it's genetically appropriately screened, and also if the behavior is stable. So a professional assessment beforehand, before mating, that's worthwhile. So thank you so much, Dr. Memon, for being here and sharing the insightful thoughts about that topic.
You're very welcome. I look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye, that's it. And don't forget to subscribe and share this video, especially with other dog owners and people who are considering breeding. If you find this video helpful, subscribe and give it a like. See you. See you
Bye-bye.
next time. Bye.